Dan Hurley ejected, avoids a suspension, but does receive a fine. I'll discuss. Plus, what led to the breakdown on Saturday against Marquette. This is Locked On UConn.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Sunday. Welcome back to another episode of Locked On UConn. I am Matt Schonvisky, a two-time graduate, 10-year credentialed media member, and host of the only daily UConn sports podcast, Locked On UConn. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the world. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and thank you for making this your first listen each and every single day. On today's show, I will start with Dan Hurley, who became the story yesterday after being ejected at the end of the Marquette loss and subsequently fined on Saturday night. Then, what went wrong in the game? Lackluster performance overall. I'll dive in. And finally, can the Huskies turn what transpired on the road in the season finale into fuel for the postseason? But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. So Saturday, UConn falls to Marquette, had an opportunity there to win a share of the Big East regular season title, bring home a trophy, and accomplish one of their key goals that they set all the way back. If you think back to the loss in March to Florida in the second round of the NCAA tournament, from there, everything that this program has done from Dan Hurley on down to all the players, to revamp the roster, to improve your game, to come up with a way to be better defensively. One of the goals that the team had since that time to check off on the list of things is obviously a Big East regular season title. So all that work and effort that went into everything since March of 2025 was in front of this team. And heading into this game, I didn't think there was any way that the team was going to fall short. We're going to talk what transpired in the game in the second segment. But I think all of that plays into what transpired at the end of the game with Dan Hurley. Because I think there was a level of frustration there that, hey, all this work, all this effort that we've put into over the last 12 months. And we're on the road against a team that obviously has been not what everybody thought Marquette was going to be this season. They haven't played well. They did go on the road and blow up Providence by 20 plus 2 games ago. But overall, this team completely underachieved, and I'm talking about Marquette. And I think everybody looked at, hey, we're going on the road. We're coming back with a share of the Big East regular season title, and it's going to be right on to Big East tournament and focusing on the next item to check off the list. What trophy are we going after next? And the way the game played out, I think already Dan Hurley being emotional, which is completely fine, but being an emotional individual and wears emotions on his sleeves, I think how the end of the game played out led to the situation where he kind of lost it on the officials. We'll get into the statistics in the second segment. Let's just talk about the situation. Silas Demery there driving in, trying to tie the game there with, I think there was 1 second left after Dan Hurley got teed up. So call it with 1 second left. Was there a bump? Did he get hit? Was there a foul? Whistle doesn't blow. And then everything that this team has worked for is clearly the first item on the list is not achievable any longer. And I think when you look at the entire situation of this team and coming together and trying to peak at the right time, leading into postseason, I think that set Dan Hurley off. And then the whistle maybe didn't go their way. there's another thing, and Dan Hurley's emotional, and we get the situation that transpired. Now, UConn's lucky. My initial take, which I posted on social media right after the game, my instant react video, and watching the game, I wasn't there, of course, but just watching the game, I think I saw 2 or 3 replays. I think Fox showed it 2 or 3 times. And then we were right out the door because we got to the Hockey's championship. We'll have a separate show to talk about that experience in the UConn hockey programs. But the initial instant react that I had was, Dan Hurley bumped the official. And now we're talking not just, hey, Dan Hurley was ejected, but now what are the repercussions coming out of that? And I felt there was a chance that he could be suspended for a game or fined. But clearly the Big East looked into it. They determined after a number of reviews and probably talking with officials that, hey, maybe there wasn't a bump there. They can't officially confirm it. So Dan Hurley just received a fine on Saturday night of $25,000. The official statement from Val Ackerman. So again, this is a bigger situation because it's the last game of the regular season. And now the Huskies are focused on the postseason, and with what transpired on Saturday in the game, coming off of that and having to deal with something else on top of that is a difficult thing. But I'm gonna talk through that in the third segment as well. I have got some thoughts on that. The comments from Commissioner Val Ackerman says, quote, "We hold our coaches to high standards of sportsmanlike conduct during game competition, and inappropriate interactions with our officials will not be tolerated." And that was the quote released along with the notification that Hurley was fined $25,000. So clearly, this is not something you want to happen right before postseason, the most critical time of the year, into one and done situations. And I talked about this in the pregame yesterday. I wanted to see a dominant performance because with postseason right around the corner, and you know how tournament games can play out in a one and done situation, when you're playing against teams that maybe haven't had the same season that you've had, but in a one and done situation, especially early on in the tournament, we have teams playing in a situation where maybe they haven't been in the past, and they're going up against one of the Goliaths in college basketball. There's going to be extra motivation on a side if you believe in that thing when it comes to sports. You should have, just on that, I'm not a believer in extra motivation. I think if you're an athlete and you're a top level athlete, you should be getting the same performance day in, day out, regardless. But clearly, in certain situations, there is a little extra there. And when you get into the tournament, you could be caught. Of course, that's why there's so many upsets. That's why there's so much intrigue in the NCAA tournament. Greatest sporting event that we've got. And I wanted to see UConn handle Marquette in a way that, hey, let's put to bed any of the question marks heading into postseason that, hey, in a one-and-done situation, could UConn potentially be one of these teams that gets picked off? Let's see a dominant performance. Let's see a situation and use this as an opportunity to really see that UConn will shut out opponents and shut down opponents and close out games early on against inferior competition, perceived inferior competition. Now, let's look at this start to finish. I mean, we've talked about this on the show as well. Big East opponents know UConn better than the rest of the country. So, and I think Dan Hurley's also talked about this at a few points in time. Maybe this year, maybe in years past, certainly. Opposing coaches, and especially a coach like Shaka Smart, knows Dan Hurley, has played Dan Hurley over and over and over and over again over the last handful of years. Multiple times. Sometimes 3 times in a season. So there's that familiarity there that leads to probably more competitive games than UConn's going to get from out-of-conference competition. We talked about this on the show. Dan Hurley's talked about it as well. So we're going to talk in the third. So this also leads to some things in the third segment, which we'll talk about then. But just to close out the Dan Hurley topic, I think UConn got lucky. UConn avoided a situation where there was a suspension. So there's now no suspension at all. And could it be that this situation can lead to some additional fuel and lead to a refocus of the team and take some of the pressure off the team, the roster, the players that just perform like they did against Marquette and turn the attention from the external voices and noise to Dan Hurley himself? So we're going to get to that in the third segment. And could that be something that actually helps this team going forward? But on the other side of the break, we're going to just look at the game that transpired yesterday. Because, like I said, this was an opportunity to check off the box of regular season championship. And with that opportunity at hand, did UConn come out like they should? Did UConn perform like they should? Did UConn shoot like they should? We'll talk about all that after the break. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You could build any college hoop parlay you want. Rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see the slate playing out. Then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. And with tournament time coming up, you are going to have additional opportunities each and every single day. You've got tournament games, conference tournament games, and then NCAA tournament games right after that. Go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Today's episode is also brought to you by TurboTax. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old ways of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. Again, head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. Back in on Locked On UConn, and we are switching from the Dan Hurley ejection and post-game fine to the actual game at hand, because it was not a great game by any stretch of the imagination. 68-62 final, 64-62 with a second left. Demery there at the line, and then obviously the free throws after the situation with Dan Hurley added some additional points down the stretch. UConn had the lead 35-33 at the half. And then in the second half, Marquette kind of came in and started to push UConn around in the second half. And it led to UConn being down. I think it was an 11-point game at one point in the second half with maybe 6, 7, 8 minutes left, maybe as little as 5. And then finally, I was looking for this the entire game. Assertion on the defensive side of the floor. Because UConn had not played well, and we're giving Marquette open looks from 3. Like Royce Parham there had a stretch where I think he hit two threes, and then he had that little runner in the lane. He had an 8-point stretch right in a row there, back to back to back. That really pushed the lead for Marquette up. I was just looking at the game, and I said this in the instant react video. I know some of you guys didn't like it, but like my feel of the game, I have a pretty good feel for games. I feel like I didn't think the game was out of reach. I didn't think UConn was completely out of the game at any stretch of the imagination, at any stretch, even down 11. I just felt like, hey, if UConn just asserts themselves defensively, they're going to come back. And they can come back. And they did come back. So they slowly chipped the game away. Got it down to that 2 points. And then UConn was out of timeout, so they couldn't get a play set up. He handed the ball to Demery. He got the ball. It was beyond half court. I think it was like 6 and change left. So he really didn't have, and Hurley didn't have much time to really even slow it down at half court, even without timeouts, to slow it down and run something. It was more, hey, off the cuff. Hey, we've really got to, because we don't have any timeouts, because there's not much time here, we got to push it, take the ball to the basket, drive. Maybe you get a whistle, maybe you don't, but at least you're getting a layup opportunity there, or trying to, in the lane. And it just didn't go. So Huskies fell. Dan Hurley loses his cool. Free throws get added in, 6-point loss for UConn. Now, statistics-wise, 13% from 3. 3 of 24 overall. Solo Ball made two threes. He was 2 of 7 again. Nobody else outside of Braylon Mullins made a 3. And Braylon went 1 of 10 from 3-point range, as the Huskies shot 3 of 24 from 3. Alex Karaban played the entire 40 minutes. 2 points. 0 of 6 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3. Had 8 rebounds, but also had 3 turnovers. Not a great game from him. Braylon Mullins had 9 points. Was 4 of 15 from the field. I just mentioned he was 1 of 10 from 3. He also had 2 turnovers. Solo Ball, he was 2 of 7 from 3. He went 2 of 10 overall from the field. So he was 0 for 3 from 2. It was just a very difficult, rough shooting day for the starters. Tarris Reed was efficient, 7 of 10, 16 points, 10 rebounds, had a double-double. He started the game. He was hot early. I think at the first timeout, he maybe had 6 and 4 already. So Tarris Reed had the hot hand. However, he only played 29 minutes because he had 4 fouls. So he was in a bit of foul trouble throughout the game. Bench-wise, UConn really cut down on that rotation. Jaden Ross had 22 minutes. Eric Riba had 11 because Tarris Reed was in foul trouble. And then Malachi Smith only played 2 minutes. So all of a sudden, it's back to maybe we're not really trusting our bench as much. Now, Riba's going to get time. Jaden Ross did play 22 minutes, but Malachi Smith only got the 2. Jalen Stewart was not there. He's still dealing with the injury. I think the media saying he was on crutches during pregame preview interviews on campus on Thursday. I think maybe that situation, I don't know what's transpiring there. So maybe we'll get more information. Maybe we won't. But the bench, Jaden Ross, 6 points, 2 of 4 from the field, 7 rebounds. I liked his performance yesterday. Eric Riba, 11 minutes, 4 points, like I said. I think there are situations where, hey, he was battling for rebounds. I don't know if he really, when he was up against it, was able to get a ton of rebounds over those 11 minutes. I know he only finished with 3, but every time it was a tip. And sometimes Marquette was getting a board. Listen, UConn did out-rebound them, though, 40-25. So if you think back to what are the keys for this team, rebounding was huge. And UConn out-rebounded Marquette 40-25. Silas had 4 turnovers. We talked about Karaban's 3. UConn turned it over 16 times. I know Hurley wants, 11 on average? Or is it 8? Maybe it's 8. I don't know. Maybe Hurley, I think it was 8, actually. Sorry. So, excuse me. It's not 11. So, they had double what they expect from a turnover standpoint. That didn't help. And then you add on the shooting. 36% overall, 13% from 3. It's just led to a situation where you were behind the 8 ball. You had to come back. When they had to have it, they did. But it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. And I thought the 3 that they were down, I think they were down 4 in the last minute. They get in the lane. Demery has a chance for a layup, kicks it out to the corner. It comes up to Karaban for the 3. In and out. UConn did get the offensive rebound put back. I thought that 3 was going, and I thought that was going to be the start. Karaban finally getting a shot or 2 there down the stretch, but it wasn't his night. He played all 40, didn't hit a bucket all game. I think that's the worst. The worst you're going to see Alex Karaban play on the offensive side of the floor. It just didn't go. It just wasn't his night. So the story of the game was turnovers and shooting. And I'm surprised that they didn't try to get it more on the block, but it's because of the foul trouble. So the whistle wasn't really there. Fouls were 20-17. UConn got called for 20 fouls. Marquette had 23 free throws. UConn had 18. UConn shot the ball extremely well at the line. 17 of 18 from the line, 94%. Despite Marquette having more opportunities, UConn made 3 more free throws than Marquette. So the disparity there and the whistle, hey, maybe it wasn't as one-sided as maybe in some of the games we've played previously. But I know there was the frustration from Dan Hurley because, hey, offensively, they weren't cutting it. Rebounding, they did. But defensively, Marquette shot 48%. You can't allow a team to shoot 48% and 38% from 3. And you can't let Royce Parham go off for an 8-point stretch that almost put the game out of reach. And then Chase Ross is an experienced player, hit a 3 in the corner as part of that run to get Marquette up. But again, then UConn came back. Like Stevens tried to force a few. James tried to force a few down the stretch. Their shots started to not fall any longer as UConn's pressure picked up. And maybe Marquette's legs started to go away a bit. But UConn wasn't able to put the game away. So they fell. And it led to the frustration there from Dan Hurley that led to the situation we just talked about. So that's the recap. That's what transpired. It was shooting. It was defense. It was turnovers. 3 of the things didn't go their way. Huskies did out-rebound Marquette, so I did like to see Tarris Reed, despite the foul trouble, being aggressive on the glass. He took care of his business. Jaden Ross had 7 rebounds. Karaban had 8 as well. Huskies were good on the glass for the most part. But it was that defense and the turnovers and the shooting, which UConn has not shot like this all season. Which leads me to the final segment, looking ahead to tournament time. Can this performance be fuel for the Huskies going forward? Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. Here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Today's episode is also brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. With 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy, there's something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. Once again today, it is Tropical Burst. What is Tropical Burst? It's a tasty caffeine flavor with island vibes, a delicious combination of pineapple and apricot flavors. It's juicy, fruit-forward, tropical profile, has a sweet taste with a light tang. It's smooth, has a rounded flavor, bright and sunny taste impression, and it's an island-style fruit punch vibe. Let's be honest. The winter here in Connecticut has been long. Why not get a taste of the tropics with 5 Hour Energy's Tropical Burst, giving you an extra push during the long work week grind. 5 Hour Energy shots give you a boost with zero sugar. Find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Again, find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Back in on this Sunday edition of Locked On UConn. Just a reminder, you can get Locked On UConn ad-free with Every Dayer Club, plus members-only Discord access. Join at lockedonucon.supercast.com. So here for the third and final segment here on this Sunday edition of Locked On UConn, and we are jumping ahead and looking ahead to Big East tournament. And can what transpired out at Marquette lead to additional fuel for the Huskies? We talked in the first segment that, hey, maybe this could be a distraction for the team externally. That, hey, Dan Hurley is taking the pressure off this group, putting it on himself that, hey, this goal that was in front of them that everybody thought they were going to get heading to Marquette, Big East regular season trophy. Yours truly thought it was given. Everything's not a given in sports. Any given night, any team can win. That's what we love about this game, and especially true when it gets to the NCAA tournament. So in this situation, when we get to Big East tournament, when we get to NCAA tournament, can they use this as fuel to move forward and achieve some of the goals that are still on this table? I think yes. And I think Dan Hurley, if we look back at this, maybe not in the moment was thinking about this, but my take on this, it takes pressure off the players to go into a situation where you're now focused on a one-and-done situation. Where this team is still, despite, I've seen some comments out there like, oh, the season's lost. The season is not lost. This team went 27-4, guys. All right? That's first and foremost. This team is 27-4. Have they not played up to their full potential at times? Yes. Was there a stretch there? A long stretch from January and February where this team didn't play up to their full potential? Yes. What's UConn's top end? Their top end is tops in the nation, guys. You saw it at Villanova. You certainly saw it against St. John's. So this team has, when fully on full cylinders, the capability to perform at the tops of college basketball. And that leads to goals still being on the table, being absolutely achievable. And I think the way the game played out, their frustration level. Listen, Alex Karaban, we just talked about his performance, right? 40 minutes, 0 points. You think he wants to go out in his college career with that type of performance? No way, no how. So I think a complete reset and revamped energy and mindset heading into tournament time is going to be there. No doubt about it. Listen, we've seen runs from UConn in the past where, hey, regular seasons didn't go as some people thought. And UConn's been able to turn the page as you head to tournament time and really put things together and lead to tournament runs. Just look at what happened with Kemba in those years, right? So the goals are not off the table. So I saw some of that sentiment on social media. Oh, the team's falling apart. Oh, they're unhinged. No. Stop. Top to bottom, deepest team in college basketball. And depth, especially in one-and-done settings, leads to situations where UConn could come out on top and raise some trophies. No doubt about it. UConn's still one of the top teams in the nation. And I don't think yesterday's performance changes things. Yes, there was an opportunity in front of them that they let slip away. But the goals are still there. And I think the team, and knowing this team and seeing this team operate over the years, this staff and the leaders on this team are not going to let what transpired on Saturday bleed into tournament time. There's going to be a rip of the Band-Aid. There's going to be a complete reset like we saw after the Creighton loss. And there's going to be a complete focus on playing to their true potential come tournament time. And I think what happened, and especially because Dan Hurley avoided the suspension and only got the $25,000 fine, I think that takes some of the pressure off the team to just focus on what they need to focus on. And a lot of it is, hey, shots are going to fall. There's no doubt. I will tell you this. There will not be a repeat performance where Alex Karaban does not make a shot. There's not going to be a repeat performance where Braylon Mullins goes 1 of 10 from 3. That's not going to transpire. If Mullins makes one of those threes, 3-point swing, UConn was down 2 there with 1 second left. Karaban makes a 3. He had an open 3 on the wing, right? In, down, and out. 3-point swing, UConn was down 2. And it doesn't matter. Hey, you just got to have more points at the end of the day than the opponent, right? And UConn defensively, we know what their top tier is. They could shut teams down. UConn out-rebounded Marquette by 15 yesterday. So there's some positives there. And I think I just see that this team going forward is going to be able to turn the page. I think externally there's going to be a lot of talk about Dan Hurley this, Dan Hurley that. Let him talk. We've got a coaching staff here that's been there, done that. Knows how to take care of business. Knows how to win. And is going to be able to turn the page. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, yeah, $25,000 fine. They avoided a suspension. Hurley will be on the sidelines on Thursday. So that's just my take. I think there's fuel for the fire. There's fuel for the Big East tournament. I think there will be added fuel for the NCAA tournament. So as we head out of this weekend and start this week, it is Big East tournament week. We will be talking the tournament, of course. We'll go through the bracket. Probably on Monday, we'll go through the men's bracket. We've obviously got the women's Big East tournament in full swing. Hockey, we got to talk about yesterday's hockey as well. But for this episode, thanks for tuning in today's episode of Locked On UConn. Please make sure you subscribe and follow at Locked On UConn on all social media so you get all the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On UConn ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonuconn.supercast.com to join the club. Again, lockedonuconn.supercast.com to join the club. I'll be back later today, so keep an eye out for that. We'll talk women's basketball, Big East tournament, semis are today, and we'll also recap women took home the Hockey East Championship. We'll talk men's hockey as well. Until then, see ya!